presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast, where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hi, and welcome to the Strong Blue Line's Cop Talk. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.FM studio with Gary Oss. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Tim Rupp.
What are you laughing about?
Well,
they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Nobody knows.
We edited that out.
We did.
The intro.
So we don't even need to talk about it.
We don't even need to know. They don't. So what are you talking about? You don't even know. Hey, here we are, 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11.
Special day in American history. You know, nobody has made this a federal holiday.
Right.
Nor do I think they should. I
agree.
We remember it. I mean, if it gets to the point where we don't remember it, then maybe so. But we have Pearl Harbor Day, which is that a federal holiday, or do we just reckon it's just named Pearl Harbor Day?
I think it's
a
nationally recognized.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
if it's a federal holiday or not. But anyways, we know, and Gary is going to find out for us whether it's a federal holiday. But 9/11, I mean, it's a special day, and we cannot forget this in American history. So, and I was looking at, we're going to talk about officers killed in line of duty on this day, but before we do that, we got a couple that we're going to talk about, and they're actually not 9/11 officers as far as the 9/11 attacks. Mm-hmm. But we'd be remiss if we did not mention the 72 officers who were killed on that day. So on 9/11, there were 72 police officers. Of course, there were several firefighters as well.
Yeah, right.
Many firefighters. Right. But 72 officers were killed on 9/11 at the 9/11 attacks.
Wow.
But not only that, Gary, there's been 229 who have died from related illnesses from 9/11 because they went there, they're breathing all that stuff in.
Yeah.
And so that brings the total of officers killed in 9/11 attacks in 2001 to 301. 301 officers in one event.
That is an outrageous number.
Yeah, it is. It's a terrible attack. Anyways, but while we're doing that, though, we're going to talk about the Officer Down Memorial page, and we're going to look at two other officers that were killed on this day, because sometimes those other officers killed on 9/11 get overlooked. So this is Town Marshal Ruman Finstenmaker. That's a name. End of watch Wednesday, September 11th, 1867. And this is from Farmington Marshal's office in Iowa. So, Midwest. Marshal Finstenmaker, is that considered Midwest? It's still,
I think so.
No, it's not West because it's east of the Mississippi, right. But it's kind of like, it's in the Rust Belt, they call it, in that area. But I guess
it is Midwest.
Yeah, it's east of the Mississippi. Yeah. So it's not west of the Mississippi, but it's mid. Mid. Marshal Finstenmaker was guarding a suspect arrested for stealing a horse. During his arraignment before the local justice of the peace, the suspect suddenly produced a pistol and shot Marshal Finstenmaker. The prisoner escaped and was apprehended several weeks later. So this guy, he's going before the justice of the peace. He's been arrested. Obviously has not been properly searched.
Right.
I mean, you'd think he would be handcuffed and he had been searched, but apparently he was not searched. This is very interesting. So this happened, Gary, 1867, September 11th. He shot and he killed the marshal. On July 5th, 1868, so less than a year later, almost a year later, the suspect was awaiting trial for Martin Finstaker's murder when he escaped from the jail. He was recaptured in southern Missouri on February 11th, 1904.
Oh, man.
After having evaded capture for 36 years.
My goodness.
It gets more interesting. During the interval, he married and raised a large family to whom his crime was unknown. Having served in the Civil War, he applied for a pension in 1904 using another soldier's name. So the guy's a criminal con artist,
Wow.
man. The name attracted attention, and he was arrested for attempted pension fraud. In 1904, you're arrested for attempted pension fraud because you claimed that you were in the Civil War.
Uh-huh.
His true identity was discovered along with the murder that he had hidden for most of his life. On April 4th, 1904, the subject was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 10 years in prison. On October 25th, 1904, just a couple months later, the man who was 68 years old and in poor health was pardoned by Governor Cummins.
Oh, my goodness.
Why would you pardon a guy that had murdered a police officer? Now, I think, and this has something to do with, you were up in the north, and we're down here in the south. I could understand if you're okay, the guy's going to die, he's got sickness and he's going to die, but why pardon him? Why not just commute the sentence? Yep. Don't erase it like it never happened. Just say, you know what, we're letting you out early, so you can die at home or something like that. If you're going to do that, but not pardon them.
Not pardon them.
Anyways,
that is crazy.
Yeah, for 36 years, he had a family there. They didn't know about it. Can you imagine that?
Oh,
what happened with Dad? Grandpa is doing. Wow.
Well, it's so on murder. There's no statute of limitations.
There's that good point. There's no statute of limitation on murders. Now, like rape is, I think, it depends on what state you're in, but usually it's like 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And theft, and maybe 5 years. It depends on how big the theft was and stuff like that. So the more serious the crime, the longer the statute of limitations.
Yeah.
But murder, it never runs out. Plus, even if there were a statute of limitations, let's say it was rape. Let's say he committed rape. And then he was arrested, but he escaped. He'd already been charged with the crime.
Oh, that's true.
So it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
If the statute of limitations were 20 years, he can't say, hey, it's been more than 20 years. No, you've already been arrested. You were charged with the crime.
That is exactly
it's going,
right.
If he had never been, arrested for it, that's something different. So, anyways, what do you have there, Gary?
This is police officer Dylan Michael Vakoff, Arvada Police Department out of Colorado.
Arvada, I think you were right. Yeah.
Arvada?
Yep, Arvada.
End of watch, September 11th, 2022. And so police officer Dylan Vakoff and another officer responded to a domestic disturbance, and they were attempting to break up a fight between the family members when one of the involved men opened fire, wounding a woman who was also involved in the disturbance. The subject then exchanged shots with Officer Vakoff and the other officer, and Officer Vakoff was mortally wounded before the subject was also shot. So the officer was transported to Lutheran Hospital, where he later succumbed to his wounds. And the subject was convicted of first-degree murder of a peace officer and sentenced to life in prison without parole. So 27 years old, and his tour was 3 years. U.S. Air Force veteran, and he served with the Arvada Police Department for 3 years.
Wow. Young man service. He probably joined the Air Force right out of high school, probably 18, 19 years old. Served his time and then went straight into the service and so he went into service in 2022, so he went into service in 2019. Just before all that COVID and all that other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is really crazy.
Sad.
So the first degree murder, that's intent, right?
Yeah, that would be. Every state's a little different, but when you get the first degree, it's like, you're intentionally doing it. I want to kill this person, not I'm mad at you and I shoot you. Like, I didn't really mean to do that.
Right.
That may be it's still manslaughter and stuff. But when you first degree murder, that's like pretty bad.
Okay.
Only thing above that is capital murder, and I'm not even sure if Colorado has capital crimes. I don't know if they do or not.
And that's just across state lines, right?
Yeah. Some states have capital offenses, some don't. Some don't. So, man, so this this caught my attention. Secret Service apologizes after illegally breaking into Massachusetts Salon during Kamala Harris fundraiser. So, you know what? We report the good and bad about the police.
We do.
And, we know, everybody that listens to my show knows me. We are Gary, you and I, your dad was retired police officer, or is a retired police officer, and I'm a retired police officer. And, we have our hearts are with officers and their families. But sometimes officers do things they shouldn't be doing. And this caught my attention. Comes out of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. In a surprising controversial incident on July 27th, 2024. So this is a couple weeks after the assassination attempt and the black eye that the Secret Service got and all this. It says Secret Service agents were involved in a breach of privacy at a Massachusetts hair salon during a campaign event for Kamala Harris. The event took place at the Colonial Theater in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, a venue located near 413 Salon, owned by Alicia Powers. The saloon was closed on the day of the fundraisers as Powers complied with the request from Secret Service to the security area. The Secret Service had conducted bomb suites in the vicinity earlier that week, which led to the decision to close the businesses for the day. However, what happened next left Powers feeling violated and concerned about the actions of those tasked with protecting the vice president. So this gives us a little bit of an insight of what the Secret Service do before there's an event. Mm-hmm. So Vice President Harris, of course, at this time, she's a candidate for president, and the Secret Service goes earlier.
Right.
Looks for everything, and they say, you know what, we probably need to close these businesses down. It'd be safest for the event and all that stuff. So they ask business. They can't go in. The federal government cannot come in and tell you are going to close your business.
Right. So
they come in there, hey, will you do this? Will you come? I guess they could if they really forced the issue. But they go in there, hey, could you comply with this and do this? Sure, I'll close it down. You're talking about people losing money.
Right.
But they're willing to do that. So this Miss Powers says, sure, I'll close down my salon. On the morning of the event, a Secret Service agent was captured on the salon security camera, taping over the lens of a Ring camera on the property. The agent was seen swinging a roll of masking tape and then using a chair to cover the camera, a move that raised immediate concerns about transparency and the respect for private property. Despite the door being locked, later that afternoon, multiple individuals were seen entering the salon. Security footage showed 4 people, including individuals in emergency medical services uniforms and a person in camouflage law enforcement attire, use the salon's bathroom over the course of nearly 2 hours. The salon security alarm was triggered during this time, yet the individuals continued to enter and leave without any apparent concern. Powers did not give permission for anyone to enter the salon, and she later found out the doors locked appeared to have been tampered with. Would you be a little bit upset, Gary, if this was your place?
Oh, I would. Absolutely.
They asked her to comply. They said, sure, no problem. And then she finds out that officer coming in and using her place, without asking. This is a private facility. This wasn't a government facility.
Right.
The individuals who entered the bathroom left the bathroom in disarray and did not restore the camera to its original state. Now that's just rude, Gary.
It really is.
If you're going to come over and use somebody's restroom, even if you have permission, don't make a wreck of the place.
No.
I mean, anyways, Powers expressed her frustration, understandably so, stating that the incident felt like a disregard for her business and her rights as a property owner. She emphasized that she would have been more than willing to accommodate any legitimate request from the Secret Service if they had simply asked for permission. Powers says she felt violated. Whoever was visiting, and whether it was a celebrity or not, I probably would have opened the door and made them coffee and brought them donuts to make them have a great afternoon for them. I wonder if that's a kind of a slight. I would have brought them donuts.
I know.
But she was saying that,
like,
hey,
come on.
Hey, if I knew you were going to be there, I would have opened up the place. I would have served you.
Yeah.
I would have.
Right.
So obviously she supports the police.
Yeah.
But she goes on. But they didn't even have the audacity to ask permission. They just helped themselves. The Secret Service initially denied any wrongdoing, stating that their agents would not have entered the premises without permission. So I'm thinking this was like she called the boss or something and said, hey, this was going on. They're like, nah, that didn't sound like our guys. Right. No, they wouldn't do that. Come on.
Uh-huh.
However, after reporters reached out for comment, the Secret Service acknowledged the incident and apologized to Powers. This sounds like the boss called the guys in. Hey, what happened out there?
Exactly.
Yeah, boss, we did that. You knuckleheads.
Right. Well, and you probably have a senior.
Yeah, you have a senior agent. I know with FBI, there's like a senior agent in charge or a supervisory agent. So there's some supervisory agent.
I mean, so the story, seems, real bad for the Secret Service. But I would think that maybe the senior secret agent
I would think
arranged it or did it, and the other agents were like, "Oh, cool, okay." They were just out there and they said, "Hey, you've got this section. You need to watch here. This is what you need to do." And they're out there like, "This place is closed. Yeah, we close it. We'll just use this place." Yeah, right.
And they go in on their own and do it. And the EMS guys that came in, they're probably, I'm thinking the EMS guys are totally innocent.
Yeah,
because they just like, hey, is there a place we can use the restroom? Yeah, go over there and use that. We're setting up in there. They need a place to go in. The officers need to use the restroom. They're there and they're doing things, but ask sneaking permission.
Yeah.
Don't go in and do. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Well, the incident did not result in significant damage to the Salon. It raised questions about the Secret Service's conduct and respect for private property. Powers accepted an invitation to meet with the Secret Service representative over coffee to discuss the matter and to show the impact that the incident could have had on her business and the community involved. She said this. She said, I want them to see the Salon. I want them to see what I do for the community and to be in the space and have an understanding as to how this could have ruined with the slightest wrong move. This could have been ruined with the slightest wrong move. The incident highlights the delicate balance between security measures and respecting the rights of private citizens, especially during high-profile events. The Secret Service's apology and offer to make amends suggested an acknowledgement of this balance and the importance of maintaining trust with the people. So, and I skipped this part, but the Civil Service said, hey, we will send in a cleaning crew. We'll clean it all up.
Exactly.
If there's any, we'll make everything right. We're going to take it, which good for them. They did that. Yeah. But I'm thinking if like you suggested that perhaps the senior guy knew about this or gal, whoever it was, and they set it up, they need some disciplinary action.
Yes, they do.
If he didn't know and he or she didn't know and it's the other guys, they need to be reprimanded for this. That doesn't need to be the loser jobs or anything.
No.
They need to be officially reprimanded. Like, come on, you knuckleheads. Okay. It's not. Yeah, I'm not saying let's go charge the guys with criminal trespass. Although you think about it, they broke the law.
Yes,
they committed an offense, and she could file charges. Mm-hmm. No, you step back and say, no wonder why the Secrets are like, oh, we'll make everything right. We'll do everything. It's like, that she could actually file charges on them, on them officers,
right?
For
it was closed,
and it was a closed business. They had no right to go in there. Just like you and I, Gary. If we walked to a business that was closed and we put tape on the things and jimmy the locks and unlock it and go in to use the bathroom.
Yeah, we have breaking and entering.
We have no right to be in there. Neither did they. They had no right. Just because they're a police officer, they had no right. Need to get permission. And so I hope this is a good lesson for these officers. I hope it didn't happen again. I guarantee you, if it happened the second time with these officers, they'd be gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, that would like okay.
Yeah.
But a couple of days off without pay may do them well. Anyways, I thought that was very interesting. And I don't think we have this time for this other one. This is a quite intensive article. And so we're gonna pass on that one. But like I said, we on this show we talk about the good and the bad of officers. We don't go around and act like officers are all good and they never do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. We often refer to them as, we always hear New York's finest, Pocatello's finest, right. San Antonio's finest. Well, if they're the finest and they're doing this stuff, what's that tell us about society? Right. What's the Bible say? We've all sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So we all do things wrong. What is the intent? These officers were doing their job. Their intent was just to have a place to relax and use the bathroom while they're doing their job. Their intent was not malicious. Mm-hmm. Was it illegal? Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was illegal. But this is where officers also have to have some discretion. Mm-hmm. You and I were teenagers at one time, Gary. Yeah. And sometimes teenagers, well, not sometimes. Well, yeah, sometimes all teenagers at one time or another. Yeah. Some more than others. But we do dumb things. We do things and I've done things as a teenager. I did things that were illegal, against the law, that I could have been arrested for, that could have prevented me perhaps from being a police officer later on in life, and could have, and I can't say I had run-ins with the law, but I came in contact with officers that said, shook their head, don't do it again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they straightened me out, and I had respect for law enforcement. So you can't, officers, you don't arrest everybody for everything all the time. Right. And that's where you need to, that's why it's so important to get the right people to go into policing. Because you have some people that go into policing and everything's black and white. Mm-hmm. I remember this one, he worked traffic, he was an officer, and he used to always say, the law is the law. And the traffic officers, that's their job to write traffic tickets. Right. They do that, and there's a reason for doing that. But even the traffic officers would say, like, he would write his own mother a ticket, like, come on, and somebody asked him once, would you write your own mother a ticket? Like, if he was speeding, I would. I mean, he's like, come on, man. So officers need to have that common sense. Mm-hmm. And, what is the intent? These kids are out doing something, they're goofing around. What is their intent? Is it going to correct them? Is it going to correct the behavior and send them on the way to call mom and dad to come and pick them up or whatever like that? If they're knuckleheads and they're bent on criminal life, they're going to get in trouble again. Mm-hmm. So, it's important for officers to use discretion. Just like I'm glad this lady, it looks like she's using discretion. She could file charges. Right. Or she could just say, you know what? I accept the apology. You've cleaned it up. You made it right. The officers are being reprimanded or whatever the case may be. So, I think that's the way to go. Common sense, Gary. Common sense. Hey, thanks for listening. If you have a question or topic you want to address on Cop Talk, send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. Thought from the good book today. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that he will also reap. Thank you for joining us and helping to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.